The advent of streaming has been a boon for most of us. Netflix, with its plethora of choices, often felt like a sanctuary, especially on weekend nights. But for Jamie, it turned into something darker. Jamie was an avid horror film fan, always waiting for the next scare, the next adrenaline rush. One evening, while browsing through the horror section of Netflix, he stumbled upon a movie titled The Streaming Abyss. The thumbnail was a simple black screen with a play button in the center. Curiosity piqued, Jamie clicked on the title. The description read, "Watch at your own peril. The abyss watches back." A tad melodramatic, Jamie thought, smirking to himself. With his popcorn ready, he clicked play. The movie started off mundanely enough, a tale of a man who stumbles upon an old VHS tape, with the same warning, "Watch at your own peril." The man, curious as ever, begins watching and is immediately enthralled by what appears to be real-life footage of his childhood memories, down to the minutest detail. But as he continues to watch, the scenes become more and more sinister. Engrossed, Jamie leaned forward. The film showed the man becoming increasingly disturbed as the footage began predicting his actions in real time. The VHS started to play the man's reaction to watching the tape, down to the panic in his eyes. The climax depicted the man's realization that he wasn't watching the tape, but the tape was, in fact, watching him. The movie ended with the man disappearing into the TV screen, leaving behind the still-playing VHS tape in an empty room. An abrupt black screen with white text appeared. "You're next." Jamie laughed out loud. Really, that's it? He was about to click out when he noticed his reflection on the black screen of his laptop. But something was wrong. He saw himself looking scared, not at the movie, but at something behind him. Turning around swiftly, he found nothing. Chiding himself for getting spooked, he closed his laptop. The next day, Jamie returned from work, looking forward to binge-watching his favorite series. However, when he opened Netflix, the only option available was The Streaming Abyss. No matter what he tried, restarting his device, logging out and back in, the movie was the only option. Frustrated, he clicked play, hoping to get it over with. But this time, the movie was different. It started with footage of Jamie from earlier that day at work, during his commute. Even his conversation with a coworker about the bizarre movie he watched the previous night. His heart raced. How was this possible? As the film progressed, it began showing Jamie's evening routine, leading up to that very moment. The footage showed him settling onto his couch, popcorn in hand, clicking play on Netflix. Then it showed him noticing his reflection and turning around, and the screen flashed the words, "We're watching." The video ended, but this time there was no laughing it off. Jamie felt watched. Every little noise, every slight movement outside his window made him jump. Weeks went by, and no matter where Jamie went or what he did, every time he tried to watch anything on Netflix, it only played The Streaming Abyss, each time updated with his most recent activities. Terrified, Jamie decided to get rid of all his devices. He moved to a new apartment, started afresh, trying to forget the horror. Months passed, and the memory began to fade. One evening, after returning from a night out, Jamie found a gift at his door, a brand new laptop with a note, "Enjoy streaming. Your friends at Netflix." Curious, Jamie opened it up, and there it was, the familiar interface of Netflix. Taking a deep breath, he browsed through, relieved to see regular movies and shows. As he was about to shut down, one title caught his eye. The Streaming Abyss. With trepidation, he clicked on it. The screen was black except for a white play button in the center. Jamie hesitated for a moment and then pressed play. What he saw next sent chills down his spine. It was footage of him at that very moment watching The Streaming Abyss with a look of horror on his face. The camera slowly zoomed in on his face, and then the screen went black. White text appeared. "Thanks for watching, Jamie. See you soon." And somewhere in the endless digital world of streaming, the abyss laughed. As days turned to weeks, Jamie's life became an interminable cycle of paranoia and fear. Friends and family grew concerned as he isolated himself, scared to interact with any form of technology that could stream content. He had nightmares of being trapped within a digital realm, always on display for an invisible audience. Desperate for a solution, Jamie decided to seek out experts in the world of technology and the supernatural. This led him to Dr. Alara Sterling, a renowned digital anthropologist who had researched the strange and often overlooked intersections of technology and the paranormal. Skeptical at first, Dr. Sterling agreed to meet Jamie. She listened intently as he relayed his harrowing experience. By the end of his story, her skepticism had turned into genuine concern. "I've heard of such occurrences," she whispered, "but they were mostly legends or old hacker tales. A digital entity or demon that exists purely in the realm of cyberspace. These demons latch onto individuals, feeding off their fears, making them a part of their own digital narrative. Together they hatched a plan. Using a combination of old rituals and cutting-edge technology, Dr. Sterling believed they could trap the demon, confining it to a digital prison, but it would require Jamie to confront the abyss one last time." Following her instructions, Jamie set up a room with various technological devices, surrounded by a circle of salt and arcane symbols. In the center was a chair where he would sit, and directly in front of him was a screen. The plan was simple: play the streaming abyss, and when the demon showed itself, Dr. Sterling would initiate a program she had created to trap it. As Jamie clicked play, the all-too-familiar movie began. As it progressed to the present moment, showing Jamie in the room, surrounded by the circle, Dr. Sterling initiated her program. The screen glitched, flashing a myriad of colors. Suddenly, a deafening digital screech echoed through the room. The screen showed an entity, a mass of static and digital code writhing and trying to escape. Jamie could feel its anger, its malevolence directed solely at him. But then, just as suddenly as it began, everything stopped. The screen went blank. The room returned to silence. Dr. Sterling, her fingers still poised over her laptop, let out a sigh of relief. "It's done. The demon is trapped." In the days that followed, Jamie's life began to return to normal. The weight of being constantly watched had been lifted. Grateful, he decided to pen down his experiences, turning them into a screenplay. Ironically, it became a massive hit on Netflix, known as The Abyss Chronicles. However, sometimes late at night, when the world is quiet, and he's alone with his thoughts, Jamie wonders, is the demon truly trapped? Or is it simply waiting, lurking in some forgotten corner of the digital realm, ready to emerge once more? And in a secure digital vault monitored by Dr. Sterling, a file named The Streaming Abyss sits quietly, its contents a swirling mass of digital chaos, waiting for its next play. As the night progressed, Alex's binge-watching led her to a series that was uniquely unnerving: Dark Echoes. Unlike other shows, this one seemed to be about the experiences of viewers watching horror movies on streaming platforms, eerily similar to what Alex was doing right now. Intrigued and a tad anxious, she pressed play. The series opened with a woman named Sarah. Sarah, like Alex, loved horror. In the show, Sarah is sitting on a couch, scrolling through Netflix. She stumbles upon a film titled The Gaze and starts watching. Alex immediately felt a sense of familiarity, as the setting seemed exactly like her own apartment. As Sarah watched The Gaze, strange occurrences began to unfold around her. Whispers seemed to come from her headphones even when paused. Shadows darted across the walls in her peripheral vision. At first, Sarah assumed she was simply letting the horror get to her, but the eerie events escalated. Alex's heart pounded as she watched Sarah become more fearful. The room's temperature seemed to drop, and the dim lighting from the television made her surroundings even more terrifying. Sarah would occasionally pause the film, trying to convince herself that the anomalies around her were just imagination or coincidental technical glitches. During a particularly intense scene, Sarah's television screen went black. All that was visible was her own reflection, and behind her another shadowy figure on the couch. Sarah turned around in panic, but nothing was there. Turning back to the screen, the film continued as if nothing had happened. Alex hesitated, contemplating whether she should continue watching. She felt an unease, unable to shake off the uncanny similarities, but her love for horror prevailed, and she pressed on. In the series, Sarah decided to contact her friend Mark, an IT guy, hoping he might explain the technical oddities she experienced. Mark, intrigued, came over. They replayed The Gaze, but this time with Mark's equipment to monitor any anomalies. Mark's equipment immediately picked up strange electrical interferences every time an eerie event occurred in Sarah's apartment. As they delved deeper into the film's origins, they found out that The Gaze was not a regular production. It was a film pieced together from various dark web clips, rumored to be haunted or cursed. Alex gulped. The storyline was taking a very sinister turn, and the line between fiction and reality felt increasingly blurred. During the series' climax, Sarah and Mark discover a way to confront the entity attached to The Gaze. They set up a ritual, using the movie as a conduit to trap and dispel the dark force. As the ritual neared its completion, Alex's own screen flickered, causing her to jump. The series ended with Sarah and Mark victorious but visibly shaken. They'd managed to push the dark force back into the digital realm, but at a cost. Mark's equipment was fried, and both were left questioning the nature of reality and digital hauntings. As the credits rolled, Alex let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding. She shut down her laptop, feeling an overwhelming need to take a break from any screen. The boundary between fiction and reality seemed fragile, and she was reminded that sometimes horror is not just confined to the screen. In the silence of her room, she heard a faint whisper. Shaking her head, she tried to brush it off as residual fear. "It's just a show," she murmured to herself. But as she tried to sleep that night, she couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. That was the last night Alex binged horror shows alone in the dark. She had learned that sometimes the most terrifying tales are those that hit closest to home. Several weeks had passed since Alex's eerie encounter with Dark Echoes. Though the show was fictional, it left an indelible mark on her psyche. She became more vigilant about her surroundings, especially when alone in her apartment. One evening, while she was enjoying a book, her phone buzzed with a message from a number she didn't recognize. "Did you enjoy Dark Echoes? Watch the silent stream next, it's even better." Curiosity piqued. Alex searched for the silent stream on Netflix, but it wasn't there. Instead, she found it on an obscure streaming platform she had never heard of. Despite her previous experience, the allure of a new horror show was too tempting. She signed up for a free trial and began watching. The Silent Stream was a documentary-style show exploring haunted locations around the world, attempting to capture supernatural events on live streams. What set it apart was that the viewers could interact in real time, suggesting actions to the hosts or warning them of unseen dangers. The first episode saw the hosts exploring an abandoned asylum in Eastern Europe. As the hosts ventured deeper into the dilapidated structure, viewers, including Alex, began noticing shadowy figures that the crew seemed oblivious to. Chat comments exploded with warnings and speculations. Engrossed, Alex watched episode after episode, but by the third episode, something felt off. The locations started looking familiar. The houses, forests, and streets bore an uncanny resemblance to places in her city. When the fifth episode's description read, "Exploring a haunted apartment complex in the heart of the city," Alex felt a chill down her spine. The building in the episode looked eerily like hers. She debated turning it off, but curiosity kept her glued. As the hosts entered the building, Alex felt a rising sense of dread. She recognized the hallway, the stairwell, even the faint stain on the third-floor landing. Her heart raced as they approached an apartment door. Her apartment door. Suddenly there was a knock on her actual door. Startled, she paused the stream and approached cautiously. Peering through the peephole, she saw one of the hosts from the show, camera in hand, looking directly at her. In a panic, Alex bolted the door and retreated, but her TV automatically resumed streaming. On screen, she could see the inside of her apartment, filmed from her own living room. The hosts commented on the eeriness of the empty space, completely unaware of her presence. The chat was flooded with comments. "Where's the tenant? This place feels off. And is that a shadow in the bedroom?" Terrified, Alex grabbed her phone, ready to dial the police, when she received another message from the unknown number. "Enjoying the show? We're closer than you think." Suddenly, the apartment lights flickered and went dark, and Alex's TV screen displayed a new message. "The Silent Stream. Live from your apartment." In the harrowing minutes that followed, Alex had to confront the chilling reality of her circumstances, using her wits and courage to escape an ordeal she'd never forget, forever changing her relationship with the horror genre. After a long day at work, Sarah settled onto her couch, excited to wind down with her favorite pastime, Netflix. Browsing through her recommended movies, she was surprised to find a section labeled, "For Your Eyes Only." The title itself gave her chills, but the allure of exclusive content was too much to resist. The first film listed was Ephemeral Gaze. Curiously, it had a viewer rating of 5 stars but with 0 reviews. Intrigued, Sarah clicked play. The movie began with a montage of seemingly random home videos, a child's birthday party, an old couple dancing, a teenager playing guitar. But as she watched, the scene started to feel oddly familiar. Shaking off an uneasy feeling, Sarah continued to watch. The scenes grew more intimate. A family's Christmas morning, a young woman's graduation party, even a couple sharing a private moment. With dawning horror, Sarah realized she recognized the people on screen. They were her friends, her family, and in some cases even her. The camera angles were unsettlingly voyeuristic, as if shot from hidden nooks within each home. The background score was haunting, a slow, eerie tune that heightened her unease. She reached for the remote, eager to shut it off when the scene changed once more. It showed her in her living room, taken from a viewpoint right behind her couch. Sarah whirled around in panic, but there was nothing there. Her heart pounding, she quickly turned off the TV and scrambled to her computer. Maybe there was an explanation, a glitch or a prank. When she logged onto Netflix, there was no sign of the "For Your Eyes Only" section. It was as if it never existed. She tried to tell her friends and family, but they brushed her off, attributing it to stress or an overactive imagination. But Sarah knew what she saw. Night after night, she was plagued by the memories of the film. Every shadow in her apartment made her jump. Every unexpected noise made her heart race. She began covering up her laptop camera, keeping her phone face down and drawing her curtains tight. One evening, as she was trying to shake off the lingering paranoia and watch a comedy, a new notification popped up on her screen. One new recommendation in For Your Eyes Only. Sarah hesitated, battling with her curiosity and fear. Against her better judgment, she clicked on it. This time it was a documentary titled The Watcher's Perspective. The description read, "An intimate look into the lives of unsuspecting individuals. See their joys, their sorrows, their fears. An unfiltered gaze into reality." The chilling part, the thumbnail showed a photo of Sarah looking straight into the camera, taken from outside her window. This time she didn't press play. Sarah packed a bag and left her apartment, deciding that some shows just weren't meant to be binged. She learned the hard way that in the era of endless entertainment, sometimes the price of watching might be becoming the watched. A few weeks later, Sarah was staying with her cousin Lisa in another city, trying to distance herself from the nightmarish events. Lisa was sympathetic but skeptical, often joking. "You always did have a flair for the dramatic." One evening, Lisa decided they should have a movie night to take Sarah's mind off things. Sarah hesitated but ultimately agreed, thinking that maybe it would help her get back to some semblance of normalcy. The two were scrolling through Netflix, giggling at cheesy rom-coms and debating on action movies, when Lisa suddenly froze. Her finger hovered over a new category. For Your Eyes Only. Sarah's heart skipped a beat. "No," she whispered, "it can't be." Lisa glanced at her, puzzled, then curiously clicked on the section. The first film listed was called Liminal Spaces. Like before, it had a full 5-star rating but no reviews. Lisa smirked. "Looks intriguing, let's watch," Sarah protested, but her words fell on deaf ears as Lisa pressed play. The film opened with a woman jogging in a park, her blonde ponytail swinging. It was Lisa. Scene after scene, the film followed Lisa's life, from moments Sarah knew well to others she had never witnessed. Lisa's facade of skepticism cracked with every passing second. The final scene showed Lisa in her living room, talking animatedly on the phone, her back to the sliding glass door. The camera then zoomed onto the door's reflection, revealing a masked figure standing silently, watching. The film abruptly ended. The two sat in stunned silence, the weight of the reality crashing down on them. I didn't believe you," Lisa whispered, her voice trembling. "We need to find out who's behind this," Sarah said with renewed determination. "We can't be the only ones." Together they started an online forum for others who had experienced the same horror. As the stories poured in, the true scale of the nightmare became apparent. Every person who watched these films was missing, vanished without a trace. Desperate family testimonials echoed the chilling reality that Sarah and Lisa faced. They were in grave danger. With a sense of impending doom, they contacted David, a cybersecurity expert, hoping he might uncover the truth behind the sinister For Your Eyes Only section on Netflix. What David unearthed was a link far deeper and darker than the surface web. It led to the heart of the dark web. Feeling cornered and desperate, the trio followed the digital breadcrumbs to a decrepit mansion hidden within dense woods. The mansion whispered of ancient evils, its very walls echoing with the cries of forgotten souls. Entering the mansion, they found not the hum of servers but an eerie silence. Room after room revealed remnants of rituals, candles that had burned down to their stubs, symbols etched into the floor, and walls adorned with haunting paintings. But the true horror awaited them in the basement. A sprawling underground chamber lay before them, with hundreds of screens playing the ghastly movies of Netflix users. Below the screens was an even more terrifying sight, an altar bathed in crimson surrounded by cloaked figures. The cultists turned, their scarred and mutilated faces barely human. Before Sarah, Lisa, or David could react, they were seized. The leader, a gaunt woman with hollow eyes, whispered, "Your fear nourishes us. You will be our finest feast." Days turned into weeks. The trio was imprisoned, subjected to unspeakable torment as the cultists fed on their fear and drained their life essence. Their screams became one with the mansion's mournful chorus. Months later, a police squad, following the trail of multiple missing persons, discovered the gruesome chamber. Bodies drained of blood and contorted in eternal terror littered the scene, Sarah, Lisa, and David among them. The air was thick with dread. The authorities launched a massive manhunt, but the cult was elusive, disappearing as if they had never existed. The only evidence was the mansion, which was razed to the ground. In the shadows of the night, if our tales from Unsettling Horror Stories gave you a fright, press like and let it be known. Subscribe, so you're never alone in this haunting journey, and share, so others too can be wary. Until our next sinister tale, stay dark, dear listener.